We are bringing you our new breakdown of exactly what's happened this past week, which was really the last week of arguments in this historic criminal trial of Donald Trump, the first ever for a former president, as you certainly know by now. Now, this final week was a short one, but a lot actually happened. Michael Cohen was back on the stand, finishing his 4 days of testimony, and Trump's lawyers began and ended their case. So we basically in 1 week saw the DA and the defense team both rest. And we saw the defense witnesses who at times stumbled. Here's how it played out.
The defense wrapped up with Michael Cohen after 3 days of cross-examination.
It was a grueling 3 days.
The prosecution has now rested its case. The defense has also just now called its first witness.
Robert Costello back on the stand later this morning after yesterday's fireworks.
He was nearly tossed from the witness box, and his entire testimony was nearly stricken from the record.
An extraordinary moment.
His whole attitude on the stand could have the defense team rethinking its strategy of calling him at all.
The defense has rested its case after calling just 2 witnesses, but Donald Trump did not testify in his own defense.
That's how it went down, and it was action-packed. Now, Michael Cohen's cross raised some doubts about him as a witness, and we've covered that. We don't know how the jury will take it, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. Indeed, this man who's on the stand alleging and providing evidence alleging business fraud by his old boss, Donald Trump, had to admit under oath that he himself stole from the Trump Organization. Prosecutors also got their turn with Cohen on redirect, returned to the bottom line where they basically said, were you too busy to get Trump's approval on this Daniels payment? And Cohen confirmed, no, he was not. The point is, it mattered, and he says he got the confirmation, and the prosecutors are going to try to continue to turn this jury, both in the last week we saw and in their closing arguments, to look back at why we're hearing from Cohen. Not because he's a model citizen and not because he's on trial, but because he was the person Trump picked to be involved in all this stuff, and he remains the key witness. The jury also heard this very simple statement that you've seen in any trial, fictional, Law and Order, or real. Quote, Your Honor, the people rest. That is the only time we think any prosecutors anywhere in this country will be able to say that about defendant Donald Trump. This is, of course, the only trial scheduled to conclude by the election. Now, the evidence they've supplied means the people, that's the DA representing the people of New York, say they have proven every element of the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. But that's their case. Trump's lawyers got to stand up and start their counter-arguments. They called this one lawyer linked to Cohen, who you saw in that highlight reel we showed you. This is someone that Giuliani and Trump have tried to use to discredit Cohen. His name's Robert Costello. He also faced the grand jury, and he had a tough go of it this week. If you followed our coverage, I've told you, we're going to tell you exactly what happens, not whether it's what you hoped happened, not whether the side you like is winning or losing, although everyone's free to have strong feelings in this case. But we're going to tell you what's really happening. And for Costello, the Trump defense witness, the key longest witness they used, it was a disaster. He was rebuked by the judge for antics on the stand. He was interrupting. The judge found him arrogant and contemptuous and said so, and scolded Costello, quote, if you don't like my ruling, you don't say geez, you don't give me side eye, you don't roll your eyes. Again, I'm going to show you exactly how the judge put it. This is not our commentary here. This judge, who I've been in the courtroom, has been very fair throughout, even measured, kind of mellow at times. He said this witness, above all others, was, quote, contemptuous. That is a specific legal term. It means that you could be held in contempt, although the judge did not try to jail him that day, probably because it would become too much of a distraction. Now, some legal experts said that the Trump defense lawyers would have been better off not calling this troubled witness at all. And it was after that witness that the defense rested their case and said they've completed their mission and they don't need Trump to testify. And he has every right not to testify, as I've told you. So they had about 2 days in control and they finished. They called those 2 witnesses. That's compared to 20 by the DA, a mismatch that is normal, that is routine, because the DA, the prosecutors, have the burden. So they have the burden of providing witnesses and evidence. The defense doesn't have to do anything. Here they called a couple people to poke what they thought would be a couple holes. The jury was sent home, and the lawyers have been hashing out towards the end of the week the jury instructions.
Testimony now complete. Jurors were sent home, and the final phase of the trial got underway.
A crucial hearing started about the nature of the jury instructions.
What will be the last words to the jury before those 12 men and women decide the fate
of Donald Trump in the hush money cover-up trial.
The final showdown between the prosecution and the defense set to take place next Tuesday, when both sides present their summations before the jury.
These jury instructions matter a lot. They might matter more than closing arguments, which are a big deal, and of course we'll be covering. That's the last thing the jury hears on the substance. But the last thing the jury hears on the rules matters a lot. It comes from the judge. It has that authority. They're read out. And the lawyers here are clashing about exactly what goes in those instructions. And all of this will go to guide how this jury considers what Trump knew and what he intended. I've told you this as fair as I can. Part of the allegations here, part of the crimes, have effectively been proven, by which I mean when you have the paperwork and it's lying and you have Donald Trump's signature on it, you've proven the basic element of the fraud. That is, this stuff isn't what they said it was, and they lied about it. And you have Cohen and paperwork showing that. But that is not the whole case, as you've heard, and you need to have Trump's intent on that, as well as the secondary issue, the second thing about this campaign crime. Now, Trump's lawyers wanted to take all of this, what I just referred to in simple form, and try to make it even more complex with a higher kind of burden than the law might require. At times, they were basically asking for special treatment. And I've told you, they have the right to make these requests. The judge has been through this rodeo before, and he's in charge, and he can just say, no, that's a ridiculous request. They did make some ground on some issues, but when they asked the judge to consider the extraordinarily important nature of the case, basically the, hey, our defendant was president defense, the judge said, I'm not going to change the law. I'm not going to do that. In other words, you can't just say, hey, this guy's important in some generalized sense. Remember, no one's above the law. Now, Trump had also been seen dozing off in court throughout the course of this trial, which is a contrast to how he was during these jury instruction arguments. Again, sometimes Donald Trump in politics and in court, he plays a more disengaged or more aloof person than he actually is. Remember, he's a reality show star. He's an actor in many ways. And suddenly we saw that he could perk up and pay a lot of attention. There was no napping during the debate over the jury instructions, which suggests that this defendant knows exactly how important they are. Now, as I mentioned, on Tuesday, the jury hears the closing arguments. And the judge has told the jurors they may have to stay late, with the idea being that you can see the timeline here, that in fairness to everybody, you set aside enough time here after the break. Everyone can go, rest up and all that, just like they're human beings. But then the jury sits down, and according to the judge, he's hoping to have them all hear these arguments, perhaps finish them on Tuesday, and then turn to deliberations on Wednesday. And if you thought this thing wasn't transparent without cameras in the courtroom during the trial, well, jury deliberations are, of course, secret completely. So hour by hour, we will know nothing about what they're doing, what the vote might be, what they're thinking, what the debates are, unless and until they submit questions that can be read out to the judge in court, ask for evidence, or announce their decision. We don't know how long the deliberations will take. We don't even know which parts of this case will matter most to the jury. There are some big things that we think will matter. Stormy Daniels, for example, testifying about something that Trump says through his lawyers never happened is a big deal. Her lawyer's coming up in this special, which I think could be interesting to hear from. Michael Cohen, both what he said, basically eyewitness to the crime, and then what he was attacked on. But does he tell the truth? Those are the kind of things we could infer the jury will care about, but we don't know. And I say that not as an exercise, not as observation, but as the actual humility of our justice system when it is supposed to work. We are not supposed to know in advance or from the outside. We can watch, we can observe, we can report. But it is what happens inside among those jury members, a jury of your peers. That's all that matters in this courtroom in the week ahead.